Morning, everybody. I'm Nola and it's Sunday, the 6th of February. I'm coming to you near Australia's capital again, and I want you to see the beautiful scenery in the background and the native birds that are singing this morning. This week, I've taught a lot about the important topic of treating people with equality, and it's reflected in organisations when we talk about great leadership by people who, no matter their level, they actually treat everybody around them with equality and with empathy and with trust and with consideration. About 2 weeks ago, I was at a client site and a couple of cleaners were in the corridor, and they kind of put their heads down as I walked past them, and I said good morning to them and asked them how their day was, and they looked quite shocked that I'd even bothered to ask. And that's very reflective of people who see themselves as being more important because of their level in an organisation. They don't value the people that are doing the coalface level work, the people that are doing the work that's so important to organisations. And so what I want to do is to read a few little snippets out of No Boxing Allowed, where I talk about great leadership traits and the focus that needs to be on people. Whilst there's a couple of pages of traits of great leaders, these are just a few that I want you to think about this week going forward. When leading organisations, great leaders have people policies in place that reflect and ensure that an honest, communicative, safe, caring and just culture is the solid foundation for the organisation. They actively listen all the time. They always acknowledge and thank the whole team when a team outcome is achieved. And they have an open door policy that's not based on level or rank in an organisation. As these sessions go forward, I'm going to focus on a lot more of the traits of great leaders. But I want you to this week perhaps open your hearts and open your mind to acknowledging the people that you wouldn't normally say hello to. If you see somebody in a corridor and you don't know them, there's no harm in smiling and saying hello, first and foremost. But if somebody's doing what you would consider a menial job, don't forget that oftentimes those people come to organisations with significant experience. They might have emigrated to your country and are simply finding a way to put food on the table to be employed while they pursue their own career aspirations. And lastly, I'm going to leave you with a little story that comes from my own life. When I was 16, I'd been working for a number of years. I'd been working and paying tax since I was 12. And I had gained a senior management role as a catering manager for a very large touring company that ran cruises and tours based out of Australia's capital, which is not far from where I am. And that I was 16 and I was still at high school, so I was balancing the last year of high school and the demands of that. I came into my second last year, did my exams, and I was still doing that role. And as a result of that role, I then decided to take on, once I left high school, I decided to take on studies in hotel management and catering. And as a result of those 2 years, during that time, I was appointed to the what was called the under manager. So within the Travelodge group, there were international hotels. Canberra, the capital, had 2. I was the deputy general manager of one of those hotels. And that was 1976 when I was in that first senior leadership role. Now, back in those days, there was no Anti-Discrimination Act. There was no work health and safety legislation. There was very little that women and other minority groups could do to combat discrimination. And I had a very good relationship with my general manager, and during a performance appraisal meeting and talking about my future in the organisation, which was rather large, and I was sort of 2 levels below the managing director at that point, I said to him, look, you know, will I ever be able to attain your role, your job as the general manager, not just the, you know, the deputy general manager? And he said no. And I asked him why, and he said, because you're a woman. And that was my first real reality check in what I would call, you know, sexist discrimination. Not just gender, that's kind of a gentle way of saying it, but it was very sexist. And whilst I was treated very well by that corporation, I started a new career and decided to start over at the bottom, and I looked at a number of different avenues. I even auditioned for the National Institute of Dramatic Art because I'd done a lot of media work and singing and acting and so on. And that was a disaster because I didn't learn my lines. I really wasn't terribly motivated. But then I decided to apply for the Australia's federal level public service, and I gained a position as what was called a base grade clerk. And while I was waiting for that appointment, I was to move to Sydney, which is our biggest city in Australia. And while I was waiting for that appointment into this base grade clerk role in personnel and finance, starting over at the bottom, literally starting afresh, rebuilding my career, I took a role at the Maritime Services Board, which was down near Circular Quay in Sydney, and I was the tea lady wheeling a tea trolley. And I talk in my memoir, The Peace Angel, about that 6 weeks or so where I was treated with absolute disgust. People thought that I was next to useless. People had no idea that only a few weeks prior to that, I had been running an international hotel, meeting weekly with Australia's Foreign Minister. I was looking after VIP guests like Dr. Hook. They had no idea my qualifications. They just saw the job that I was doing. They labelled me, they boxed me because of the job. So if you ever see somebody and you assume quite arrogantly that they can't possibly be intelligent, they can't possibly want to achieve anything in life, just close your mouth and ask them about themselves at some point. Find out about them, because I guarantee you will see the surprised look on their face that you're interested, and secondly, you will find out things that you probably never thought were possible. It will change your view about how you see people at every level in an organisation, and hopefully it will start you on your journey to becoming a great leader. I hope you have a great week. I'm going to have a fantastic week myself. I've got a lot on. It's a beautiful day today, and I'm going to enjoy the sunshine for a little while, having a cup of coffee at a local cafe. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.